What should we be paying attention to from a geopolitical perspective right now? There's a lot of stuff, but what should we focus on?
I mean, there's a couple things that stand out. One, the potential for the kind of resurgence of the Arab Spring in Iran. You know, when you've got a girl really who's taken in by the morality police, flogged to the point where she ends up dying, goes into a coma and dying,
Ugh.
and because she wasn't wearing her headdress properly. I mean, you go, really? This is what century? and
Yeah.
and I think there's a lot of sense of injustice throughout the Middle East, and particularly in Iran. 41 country. We can edit this, right?
I think Robert can.
Okay. Um, Virtually every region in Iran has erupted. 130 plus cities where riots are taking place, and this is a country that only knows one way to rule in or to kind of roll back democracy, and it's with brutality. So does this become like what we saw in Tunisia in 2008, 2009, the beginning of significant social change? That could be very interesting in terms of trends within a very controlling part of the world. Of course, we had comments from Medvedev and Putin in recent days and weeks about the potential tactical use of nuclear weapons. Well, I mean, for a lot of people who are younger, you have no idea what existed as a threat for multiple decades. The nuclear threat and this sort of one-upsmanship between countries, nuclear powers, was a very real tension that we had to deal with, and it's back. So we have something the equivalent of a Cold War tension, which has not had to really be factored in recent years or recent decades, since the early 90s. And now you've got somebody who's willing to say, yes, I'll use them, and don't be surprised when I use them. It's destabilizing because you have to take it seriously. On the other hand, if those were ever used, extreme force would have to be. I mean, it's just it's a world that I think young people are not used to. Like, why do we even have them? Might even be the question that they're asking. Well, we have them, and you've got one of the largest holders of nuclear arms run by a guy who's out to prove something. I mean, it's complex. But the idea of Russia returning to sort of a 10th century version of itself, there is certainly an aspiration for a return to greatness.
Yeah.
At least to the pre-Cold War collapse, and sort of what does autocracy look like in this period of time. Partnering up with China, very interesting, because again, it's one of our largest trade partners. The U.S. and Europe trade with China a huge amount. And now you've got sort of Russia turning towards China as a political support, as a friend, and how does that work for us in terms of maintaining a really strong trade relationship with China when their best friend, so to say, is threatening tactical nukes? This gets very complex.
Yep.